Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have the fabulous. Now, I want you to say your name for me just in case. I don't want to mispronounce it.
Yeah. Lucia Damisa. Lucia
Oh,
Damisa.
that's beautiful. That's so much better than what I would have said. I am just so
But
thrilled.
sorry, can you also pronounce your name for me?
Oh, it's just B.
Wait, wait.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. People have said Bia in the past, but yeah, it's like it's B. So, not nearly as exciting as your name.
No, I was actually like spelling it as Bay, like as in
Oh.
BA. So yeah, that's why I had to confirm and make sure.
You're so sweet. I love it. I love it. Well, I could not be more excited to have you on today. I mean, anytime we have a new author on, it's just especially exciting. Just getting started, there's all this lovely energy. And
Yeah.
I have read a little bit about this book that you have coming out. I am so excited. Everybody out there is going to be so beyond excited. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to get into it. I'm just, again, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you also for having me on the show. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I love to start with some general questions and then we just kind of see where it goes, how it flows. What
All
made
right.
you want to be an author?
All right. So most of the time, whenever people talk about how their author journey began, they usually start by how they usually start by how they loved reading, books. But mine actually started from watching movies. Like I was such a huge movie fan, and it was like I wanted so much more because I was around like 11 at the time, and all my movies were like PG and all of that. So I actually wanted more romance anytime I
Oh,
watched. So I started to write like stories, but it was kind of like a fan fiction of the movie. But then I would get to the plot would be like the exact same plot of the movie, and then I would get to the point where maybe the characters didn't kiss, and then I would write that like they kissed, and then like that would be where the story ended. Like my stories were just like always incomplete. But then when I got to 13 years old, I had like this very long holiday like from school, and so I just like okay, I wanted to like write a story. I wanted to like make up my own story, write it from beginning to the end, and finish it. And they were all like handwritten stories in like notebooks. So that was the first time I wrote a book, and I showed it to my best friend. She loved it, and like she also helped me to edit it. So like yeah, I still have the book, and like you would see her pen like crossing over some errors and all of that. And so I started writing more notebooks, and my friends, because I went to a boarding school, so we didn't really have that much means of entertainment. So my friends started like reading my books like regular novels because like I had like five of them. I would write them and like package them and everything, and they would read it and pass it around, and they would talk about it like a kind of book club. So that was how I fell in love with writing. And then when I went to college, I didn't have that much time to pursue writing because like college was so hectic. So I kind of stopped writing, and it became this thing that I used to do when I was younger. But then I finished college, I served in the Navy, and then I graduated and all of that. So I started I started freelancing. And like the freelancing left me with like a lot of hours, and I would get bored. So I was like, okay, let me pick up writing. And it was like those 5, 6 years when I didn't write, it was like the writing energy. Like for the past let me say, okay, it was 4 years since then. So 2 years after I finished saving, I was just writing, 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 writing. And then I found out that okay, I could actually get published, even though I'm based in Nigeria, that like anybody in any part of the world can get published. And so when I found out that that was possible, like I never looked back. I went on that route and I just continued to pursue it. So yeah, that was the journey to becoming an author.
good night. Okay, we need to unpack some of this. Okay. All right. I'm glad I'm sitting because I would need to sit down after hearing all of that amazing. Did I hear you say that you started writing at age 10? Is that what
Yeah,
you said?
11, yeah.
Oh my heavens. Okay. I love that. And so in a way, it sounds like you were creating these worlds for yourself and your friends. You were in a boarding school writing
Yeah.
these incredible stories. And can I just say, I'm so thankful that you're writing these stories that have been inspired by movies because with a kiss or whatever, because I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many times I sit down with my husband and we watch a movie and I'm going, is anyone going to kiss in this? Is it going to happen? Is there any romance at all? We all need more romance in our lives. So I'm
Yeah,
thrilled that from a very early age, apparently, you were inspired to do that. Oh my heavens. Everything you said, I'm so in awe. This is amazing. This is
thank you.
amazing. Oh my heavens. So, and as I'm listening to you too, I want to make sure I didn't do you a disservice. I want to make sure I also mention the fact that you are a brand new published, would you say published author now? Or you're coming to be.
Yeah,
It's all
about
happening. It feels silly to call you brand new when it sounds like you've been writing for quite a while.
I totally love the brand new, like, tag, because when
Yeah.
you're trying to get published, you just want that I say tag, you just want that tag so much, like debut author, brand new author. So it doesn't really matter how long you've been writing. It's just a privilege, really, to have the title.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. And so I'm trying to think, you would refer to yourself as a fantasy author then, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
would.
I love that. And what movies when you were watching them when you were younger, what movies do you think really sort of inspired you to start? Can you think of any off the top of your head?
Man, that would be really hard. But it was like, okay, I'm not sure if this is the title, but it was like Spy Kids
Oh,
and,
okay. Sure. Sure.
Big Fat Liar, and like, I don't know if you watched Big Fat Liar. The heroine in Big Fat Liar, she was like a very big teen, like, pop star actress. So she used to act like a lot of movies that I used to, want those. Then it was like all these High School Musical ish, camp rock, like, kind of movies. Yup,
Yeah.
those. But then I was also a huge fan of Lord of the Rings, like anything that, took me out of reality, that took me out of like normalcy. I was so stunned by those movies. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So would you say that those are like the elements of things of such a different type of film that you're talking about now, Big Fat Liar versus Lord of the Rings and all High School Musical. W
yeah,
it sounds like though that you've imbued your books with elements of all of those things, right?
yeah. Because those movies I mentioned, like High School Musicals and Big Fat Liar, they had hearts, and like I love hearts in books. And then Lord of the Rings has like the fantasy elements. So like
Yeah.
that's kind of how they come together, for me. So yeah. So like I love like fantasy and like world building and like all the fun stuff, but I just really want to capture that heart, like that
Mm,
character love, characters teasing, bantering, loving each other, sacrificing for each other, and all of that. So yeah, that's how like those two different genre of movies come together for me.
I love that. Now, would you say you mentioned that you were in a boarding school from early on. Would you say that any of your experiences in boarding school informed your writing at all?
Yeah, I think what boarding school did for me was, like, as I said, we had so much time on our hands. Like, we were very busy, like, we were very busy kids. They were training us to be like soldiers that weren't going to war. So we're very busy. But we also had like a lot of free time. And it's
Mm,
like we talk a lot, we like gist, we talk about home, but after a while it starts to get repetitive, you
mm,
know. So
mm,
just it was that atmosphere of like having free time with nothing to do. I feel like that was what really encouraged me to write more, because I feel like, okay, now my younger brother is like in high school, so but he's in a day school. So it's like every morning he wakes up, they drive, like he's always so busy. He's like either on the road, going to school or coming back from school. He comes home, he's tired and all of that. So I feel
mm.
like if that was also my experience, I wouldn't have been able to write, because it's really draining. Like any free time you have to read. But like in boarding school, we were trying like working, like school was like the dormitory was here, the classroom was there. So we had like a lot of time, a lot of free resting time. And we
Yeah.
also had prep time, which was for reading, but which was not always just for reading. So so yeah,
Oh my goodness.
really moments, really helped me. So I don't think in terms of like plots, I don't think it's, helped in terms of plots, but just in terms of like having the time, having the freedom to write. So, and like having like my mini fan base, my friends that were so enthusiastic and, encouraging me, like, so I think that was how it really helped build me as a
Mm,
young writer.
mhm. I love that. I love that. And you also mentioned that you were in the Navy for 5 years? Is that right?
Yeah, no, for 1 year.
For
And I
1 year.
wasn't in the Navy. Yeah, it was like we have this thing in Nigeria where after you finish college, you have to serve. So it's
Okay.
like, yeah, so but you choose where you want to serve, but it has to be like a corporation. And my dad is like he works with the military because even my boarding school was an Air Force boarding school. And so after that, yeah, so like it was I served with the Navy, but not to become a soldier. It was more
Ah,
like in the office of that. So yeah.
would you say that any of your experience, now we're gonna get into this a little bit more when we talk about your book. Would any of your Navy experiences inform that? Okay, it would?
Absolutely, yeah.
Ah, okay. See, I don't wanna give spoilers, I don't wanna tell too much, but, I mean, obviously, we're gonna talk more specifically about your upcoming book very soon. Take us through your journey to publishing your first book. You mentioned, well, and we know that you're going through Darkan Press, which I
Yeah.
love. Stacey Reed got us connected, which I just am so excited about that. Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about that journey.
Okay, yeah. The journey to publishing, like it was a hard one. Like it was hard, but it was
I'm
a
sure.
merge of highs and lows. So there
Mm,
were actually a lot of highs, but there were also lows. So let me just like, begin. So after I, finished in the Navy and after I started freelancing and finding more time to write. So it was like I read a book and I really enjoyed. That was my first fantasy book that I read, and that was what made me want to start writing fantasy. And so I was just like I was dazzled by the book basically, and then I went on YouTube to check out the author, and I saw her talking about how she was once a young writer too, and like I just really connected. And she's in America and I'm in Nigeria, but it was just that connection of young writers having this dream. So I just had this feeling like if she could do it, I can do it. But thinking about it now, it doesn't correlate because we are in different different countries. But that was what lit up this spark. And so I started researching. And so the first like publishers I sent my book out to because they didn't need agents. I sent my book out to them, and like they didn't that this was another book. They didn't accept the book, but they loved it. Like they saw potential in it, but they were like it needed more work. But the enthusiasm for like a revise and resubmit, the enthusiasm, like all the comments and compliments, I was like, oh wow, like this is an actual publisher, these are like actual professionals, and they read my book, and even though they're like, okay, improve it and come back later, they were still like, we love this. So like that just really encouraged me. So I didn't proceed with them because
okay.
I didn't proceed with them basically for reasons. But then I went on to try to get an agent because they're like that's like the better process to get an agent and agent to sell your book. So it was just really hard like querying the book. I got an agent the first time, it didn't work out, so we went our separate ways, and like that book also didn't sell on submission. And then the second time I was querying, I wrote another book. I queried that one, queried it, like it did so well, like so many full requests and all of that, but it didn't get an agent. So I was just so dispirited. Like I was trying to keep going because so many people believed in me, especially like my siblings, my younger sister, my younger brother. They were like, you've been writing for so long, for so many years, you love writing, like they can't believe. Okay, when I was so close to giving up, I was like, okay, let me write this book. Let me write one last book. Let me give it one last try and all of that. So I wrote this story and it was so different from anything I've written. Like I love my other stories, and Stacy has read some of them and she loves them. But why this one was different for me was because it was very close to home.
Mm.
And yeah, and I tried to query to get an agent beforehand, and I did succeed. So I was like, this book has to really be different. And like I need to put in, like if this is going to be the last stand, I need to like give it everything like I have. So I made it complex. I did like all the research. I just tried to make it really stand out. And so right from the jump, it started getting interest. But I was very lucky because I critiqued it by myself. I gave it to my beta readers, my CPs, and all of that. So they did their best for it, but the book still needed some work. And the agents I sent the book out to, they saw something in the book. So even when maybe they passed, it was never like, oh, this isn't just for me. Buy. They were just like, oh, this book is so special. Do this, do this, do this, do this to improve it and all of that. So they kept giving me feedback and giving me feedback, and I worked on this feedback. So it was like at the last point where one agent gave me like a general feedback. She was like, this book is so special. If you can do this and this and send it back to me, like I would love to look at it again. So that was the main feedback that I put in. And like the moment I put in that feedback, I started getting offers. So it was there's offers of representation from agents. So it was kind of like the book kept getting like edited, and like the moment it was, and like these agents kept helping me, like it was like in a permanent, should I say permanent, like editorial stage throughout my querying stage too. So the moment like it was at the right point, the agents said okay, she loved it. A second agent, like three agents offered for the book, and like, it was just so unbelievable after like one book that didn't make it, after all the rejections and everything. And then I signed with my agent Laura Southern of the Wolf Literary Agency, sorry. And she's just been great. And we went on submissions. And while we were on submissions, I heard from Stacy. She was like, she has started her publishing company. She has read my book. She loves my writing style. And like, would I like to work with them? And her enthusiasm, like their passion for, like they have a vision to empower diverse voices. So their passion for it was just so electric, basically. And I said yes. And it's just been amazing working with them. So yeah, that was my journey to getting A Desert of Bleeding Sand published.
I just love it. Oh my gosh. It's so exciting. Okay, I can't wait another minute. I can't. We just have to do a cover reveal, and we have to start talking specifically about this book. I just can't wait. I wanted to just talk more about you and your journey, and I'm loving it, and we will, but I'm just too excited. We have to do it. I hope you
Yeah.
don't. Okay, good. All right, let me take this banner off. Okay. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 5, 4,
Four,
3,
three,
2,
two.
1. Oh! It is so beautiful. It
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Please, without further ado, tell us about this book. I just cannot wait to hear all about it. I know some things, but I wanna hear from your mouth. What Tell us everything.
So, A Desert of Bleeding Sand, it's about Zer and Dayton, two elite military academy students who have been sent to the royal palace to uncover the traitor who has been sponsoring mercenaries to abduct students from the academies. So both of them have like they come from different academies, and they have like different sponsors sending them to find this same traitor. So they are kind of on opposite sides, but for the same mission. And both of them want to find the traitor before the others. So it's like this, clash, this like clash of clash of zeal. Like they don't trust each other. They come from different tribes that also like clash and everything. So yeah, there is that. And then there is also the world building, which is like inspired by Nigeria, but also like West Africa as a whole. And then because we have like other kingdoms in the book, so those kingdoms are also, because it's a historical romantic fantasy, so almost everywhere in the book is like inspired by a real place. So we have like places that are inspired by places in the Middle East, places in the West, places in Africa, and all of that. So it's just like a merge of tribes, which is like in the kingdom, which like are reminiscent of Nigerian tribes. And then we have like overall kingdoms, and like all of these forces are clashing. And then we have these two in the middle with their mission, while also trying to wrangle with all these clashes, because it's also set in like a royal court, and we have the king and the queen, and we have like people who want power from, like who wants to steal power from them, and
Mm.
many of these tie into the missing children, to the children being abducted. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what A Desert of Bleeding Sand is about.
Oh! I'm so I'm so ready for this book. Now, I also have one more slide. I thought this would be fun to go over too. Coming March 27th, because we all need to know when we can get our hands on this book. March 27th. We see spy rivals to lovers, slow burn, historical fantasy, lush world building, desert
Yo,
studio. Say that word for me. Desert studio.
Desert Studio Ghibli.
Okay, thank you. I knew I was gonna say it.
The
Actually, I
vibes.
think I would have actually said that right. Vibes. West African Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah.
OMG, I'm loving it. Lethal Stakes and Deadlines. Found Family Elite Academies. I mean, what is not to love? What is not to love? I need this book right now. I need it right now. I'm so excited. So, okay,
Because
now
I
we can talk. I'm just too excited. Um, so I had seen in your bio that you enjoy photography. Is that right?
yeah.
Now, would you say that there are any elements of this story that were inspired by some of the things that you've seen in your excursions or the photos that you've taken? Has that informed any of the I see it looks like we have a winged horse on the cover. I mean,
Yeah.
are you interested in the nature aspect of this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I'm such a nature lover, and I
Yeah.
feel like when anybody opens up the book, like you can tell, because one comment I often got from agents and anyone who read it was like, beautiful setting. Yeah, and it was like before, I wasn't very conscious of how beautiful like my surroundings were, like where I live. I literally live in a valley. Like name of my estate is Spring Valley Estate. So it was when I started reading fantasy books and also like Scottish romance books, and I was so like obsessed with like the beautiful, setting, and I'm like, oh, I want to go here, I want to go there. And then it occurred to
Yes.
me one day, I was like, you actually live in a beautiful place, like trees and hills and a blue sky and all of that. So that was what made me start to appreciate nature and start to take photos of them. Like sometimes I would just walk up to the hill in my estate and take pictures of the sunset of the blue sky. And so that love of nature, like it definitely played into right in the desert of bleeding sand, because sometimes I would literally like go to my gallery and open a photo and just describe like what is in my photo. Like that's how I would like describe the setting in the scene. Or sometimes if
Mhm.
I'm outside and I'm like, oh, I like the way the wind blew through my hair, I would memorize that, and then when
Yes.
I would write it to bring the setting to life. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. I feel like you're getting transported, not even just by the cover here, but I feel like it's really representative of your writing style, the experiences that you've had. I'm ready to be swept away right now. So, the military academy. Was there a rival military academy when you were growing up by any chance?
Absolutely.
Really?
But ours was ridiculous because we were an Air Force, we were an Air Force boarding school, and our rivals were other Air Force boarding schools. But it was, I'm telling you, like it wasn't like the Navy, or it was just because they were like, okay, Air Force boarding school, Abuja, then Air Force boarding school set there's in another location. So like we had like 6 different locations. So it was just like this ridiculous like fight for power, which of us was cooler, which of us was better. Like and we used to have all Air Force games where all the schools, like all the athletes in the schools would go to one school and compete.
Yeah.
So yeah, those competitions were intense because it was like we're fighting for our dignity against against each other. So yeah.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. So, okay, so we've got the feuding military schools in this story.
Yeah.
Is much of this book set at schools, would you say? Or is it primary oh, is it in the kingdom then primarily?
Yeah.
Okay,
Palace most.
in the palace. And it
Yeah.
sounds like this is imbued with mystery. There's romance. I'm just I know I can't ask you too much because we don't wanna do a spoiler, but talking about this, we've got A Desert of Bleeding Sand. This is book 1. How many books do you anticipate in this series?
So I'm currently signed for 5 books in the series.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Although I think that's the like it's a 5 book series. It's not like I'm currently signed for like it's a 5 book series, yeah.
oh my gosh. And how far along are you in the writing of this 5 books?
Uh, I've written like I've drafted book 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm about to start drafting book 5. So yeah.
Oh my gosh! Are you pleased
I
with the
actually
way
drafted all of this while I was querying and while I was on submission because I needed like this advice. Why querying, write other books. So
Oh.
yeah, I was just writing, and I really love the story. I love the characters. I love everything about it. So it was also very comforting during the highs and lows of trying to get published and all of that. So it was always comforting to go into this world and spend time with this character. So it was both writing the story and also just a way to you know find joy, find encourage myself, and yeah.
Yeah. I just love that. It sounds like your characters sort of give you strength to keep going throughout.
Yeah.
I love that they encourage you through
Yeah.
this. I just love now, is this story told in dual narration, or is this primarily from the heroine's perspective?
Two dual POV. There's two POVs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. And, how would you describe our hero in this story?
Data.
Oh, I love you.
Okay.
She giggled. I love
Okay. So
it.
Data is just okay. How would I describe him? He's very protective.
Oh, I like
He's
it.
traumatized,
Oh,
but he's also very like that heart I mentioned. Like he
yes.
brings a lot of it. Like he actually brings more of it to the story than my hero me, because like they've both been through a lot,
Mm,
but more like he's a social person. He's an outgoing person. He's that kind of person that knows how to wear a smile, even though you know they are not very things are not going that well for them. So like
mm.
he has a lot of heart. He knows how to play. He knows how to bring fun to the page, and then he's also like he has a very sweet tongue. Like he says like romantic things. Like he has romantic quotes, and yeah, I can't wait for people to get to meet him. And but yeah, he's very he's a military student and he's one of the best students. So he's physically fit. He's determined and he's
Mm.
very, let me not toot my own horn, but I'll just say he's pretty clever. So yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. And, looking at the tropes here, we've got they're both spies, which I love a good spy. And I see enemies to lovers. They're not particular are they enemies to lovers? It's sort of baked in because 'cause they're from rival academies, right?
Yeah. I
Okay.
I purposely used like rivals because I noticed that readers can be very picky about what is called enemies to lovers. Like I know for their rivals, so I feel
Okay.
like they're enemies, but just to be on the safe side, I just focus for a fact they're rivals. But like
Yes.
the enemy part would be determined by the readers. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. That's such a great idea. And because they have, as you mentioned, they have to join forces in order, for the greater good. And oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it just sounds like it's so exciting. Oh
Thank
my.
you.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So I feel like we've talked about some of your influences in terms of movies. You mentioned an American author that really inspired you. We talked about photography, the Navy, your boarding school experiences. Is there anything else that really guided you into creating this world?
Okay, yeah. So I started writing this book at a time of like political turmoil
Oh,
in my, like it was this point where as I said, I was querying and it was kind of looking hopeless, and I was like, let me write this one book. And
mm,
then of course I had to find an idea, and not just any idea, but an idea that I could sit down day after day and be passionate about writing. So it was
mm,
like there was this political turmoil about bandits going to schools and abducting hundreds of students, and it was just so terrible because like they were abducting really young students, but they were also abducting like college students who were about the same age as I am at that time. So
mm.
it was just, it felt so close to home because I was like, this could have been me. Like I could have been in school and this could have been me.
Yeah.
And I just needed to express myself because I'm someone that if everyone around me is talking about something, I just don't feel like I have any more to add. So everybody was so sad, everybody was so expressive, and like I just couldn't say much because whatever I had to say, they were already saying it. So it
Mm,
was just build up of feelings because like why are they doing this to these children? Like it was
yeah.
just so terrible. Because it happened some years ago with the Bring Back Our Girls movement.
Yeah.
And then that was like a big thing where terrorists went to schools and abducted over 100 girls, and
Yeah.
then it was happening again like so many years later. So I just needed to express myself, and I was like, I could write this story, because it even got to a point where the Nigerian youths were on Twitter, lamenting about this horrible thing, and the government banned Twitter, like in Nigeria. We couldn't use Twitter again. So I just felt like I can write my story. No one can come into my house and tell me to stop writing my story. No one can take away my laptop. So that was just how, I was able to express myself. And that was one other thing that made me so determined to fight for this story, to do my best to make it like strong enough to make it out of very trenches, out of the submissions trenches, and all of that. So that majorly inspired like the plot of the story. But then like Zara and Dayton, their dynamics came from reading a book, Dance of Thieves. Those are also like rivals to lovers, and I was obsessed with the dynamics. So I knew I wanted to explore the rivals to lovers dynamics. So the moment I got the idea like to write this story, so it was like that. Like I had these characters, I didn't have a word to put them, and then these horrible things started happening, and I was like, I have this story I have to tell. So I just combined those like with the characters, with the plots, and everything. So I feel like in the story I really explored what happened, because so many happenings in the story actually were happening in real time, and like how I would express myself was go to my laptop and write it into the story. So there was that, and then the ending part is also like inspired by, because when people hear, oh, they're kidnapping young children, you want to know why, you want to know who, and all of that. So we
Yeah.
found out the answers, and that ended up being like the reveal in the story. So yeah, reality. So that's why I made it more of historical fiction
Wow.
than, because it was very much inspired by real life in 2022.
Wow. That's incredible, and I'm so thankful that you were able to process in the way that you were, in a healthy way, and I think this is gonna really resonate with people all over the world as they read this story. I love talking to authors about this. What is your writing process like? Where do you write? When do you write? Do you have a space? I know you mentioned notebooks, you do it by hand. Tell us everything.
Okay, so I don't write in notebooks anymore.
Okay.
I, I don't think I don't have I don't even like looking at my handwriting anymore these days, because everything is like digital and all of that.
Yeah.
But my process is, I don't really know if to say I have a process, because when I have this idea, it's just like an obsession, and I just write and write and write, like drop virtually, because trying to be a responsible adult, I wake up, I try to do my chores, I try to eat, because when I'm in the zone, even like food tends to take a backseat, and then you see my mom popping up with like plates of a plate of food or a snack, because she's like like she doesn't want her little enthusiastic writer to starve or something. So yeah, like
Right.
I try to do my chores, and then because I'm a single girl and I don't have like that much responsibilities. So once I'm done with the important preparations in the morning, I just sit down and write till when I write like till 9 sometimes. And then when I sleep, it's like the idea, if the next scene is so exciting, like I try to wake up in the midnight and I start writing, and then I sleep, I wake up, do my chores, like write until I'm finished with the book. So, but the writing process I would say I have is outlining. And
Oh,
like, it's such a big thing in the writing community. Should you outline? Shouldn't you outline? And all of that. So that is just one thing. Like I have to outline before I start writing. I have to outline. If maybe I even have this idea for a new scene, if I don't outline that scene, I can't just sit down and start writing. I have to know the process in which it happens. So that is like my one big, writing process. But other than that, it's just write till you drop, write till the end. Yeah.
oh my gosh. And so it sounds like you do it in your home.
Yeah.
Okay. I know very few people that say, some of them will be like, I go to the coffee shop or whatever. And then they're like, it's too much, or I need noise, or I don't need noise. Everybody's different. And I love to hear how everybody's process is so different. So, my next question, what are the pros and cons, would you say, of being an author?
Yeah. I love this question. Oh, so like yeah, one of the main major pros I found of being an author is like being paid to be creative, being
Yes.
paid to follow your passion. Like that is
Yes.
just like a wonderful pro of being an author.
Mm,
And
mm,
then there is also this aspect for introverts. But I was thinking about it and I'm like, so many introverts like don't get credit when it's due because you might do something but you're so quiet about it, so no one knows you did it.
Mm.
And you just and you in your heart you're like, oh, I wish someone would appreciate this thing I did, but you're just so quiet. And then the extroverts are like, I did this thing today, and everyone's like, wow, like congrats. You're like, man, I should probably say I did this thing too, but so it's just like, as introverts we don't always get a lot of credit for the things we do. So as an author, it's like there are so many milestone moments where you're in your house, like in your by a quiet bedside by your table, writing, being your introvert quiet self. But then when you get a book deal and you come out and like, I got a book deal, like people would come out and celebrate you. Or when you're like, oh, like my cover review, people would come out and celebrate when your book is out, when readers love it. So I feel like that's another pro of being an author, because despite being an introvert, you still get like acknowledged, you still get like recognition and all of that. So that is one big pro I found of being an author.
I
And
love that.
then
No, I would never have thought of that because you are technically getting acknowledged for being an introvert as you're writing quietly on your own. I love that. I never would have thought of that. How perfect. How perfect. Okay, sorry.
yeah, no, yeah. And then the last pro that I would mention is like, for example, what I said about the political situation and like the horrible things that were happening, and the opportunity it gave me to express myself, and like not just express myself, but yeah, definitely to express myself, but also in a way that would hopefully make an impact.
Yes.
Because said, they banned us from tweeting. Like we went on the streets like to protest. They banned us from going to the street to protest. So we were on Twitter peacefully expressing ourselves, and they banned Twitter. And that kind of thing is just so stifling.
Yes.
So a book, yeah, like it allows you to express yourself,
Yeah.
to like spread awareness, because we just wanted to be heard by people. Like, we're really blaming anyone, but we just wanted people to hopefully, like, oh, if more people hear about these things, speak about these things, something will be done, actions will be taken. So that
Mm,
was that's one pro of being an author. Like, hopefully when people read it and they're like, oh wow, like, because it's not happening now much anymore, thank goodness.
thank
But it's
goodness.
like it can happen again, because the Bring Back Our Girls movement was a while ago,
Yeah.
and then after we thought, okay, that was kind of done with, 2022 again, it happened.
Yeah.
So hopefully, like, when people see it, talk about it, condemn it, more will be done to prevent that kind of occurrence from happening again. So that is just one other pro of being an author. You can use your pen, to make an impact. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. I think you'll see the big impact that you have once this book is out in the world. I'm so looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Truly.
thank you. I hope so.
Truly.
And for the cons, one of the major cons of, although I wouldn't say this is of being an author, this is like more of the journey to being an author, and it's just the rejections you get from agents, like dozens of rejections. Like, bro, that is so hard. And I think it just really helped that, I can be a quiet person, I can be a very reserved person, but I feel like when it comes to something I'm really passionate about, I just get this energy. Like, I
Yeah.
was so determined and so dogged. Unless I know so many writers that gave up because the rejections were just too much. So
Yeah.
like that is one really, although it helps when you finally get that book deal, you get over all the rejections. But until that point, it really it really weighs down on you, like
Mm.
pushes your self-esteem down. It can be very, depressing. So that
Mhm.
is one con of being an author. And then I'll say the last one is opening yourself up to criticism. Like, I'm not there yet. My book isn't out yet, but I've seen so many authors talk about how difficult it is to, receive negative feedback on a work that you've put out.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to prepare myself for in advance. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, because that's what authors have to live with. Like, you just have to like live with it, it comes with the territory, basically. So yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that one a lot. People talk about needing to develop a thick skin, but just how challenging it is because this is like your baby. Like something
Yeah.
you put your heart in and then you have to close it off. So, oh my goodness, yeah, I that would be very challenging for me too. I think that would probably be the hardest part. Now, we've sort of talked about this, but just to reiterate, what would you say makes a great story?
Yeah, so for me, what makes a great story is heart.
I
And
love
honestly,
that. I knew
a
you were going
plot,
to say that. Sorry.
a plot can be so simple, but if it just has this warmth and this like, although I wouldn't really call it coziness because there are so many high octane books that
Mm,
still have that bond of like either it's friendship bonds or family bonds or like
yeah,
romance bond and all of that. So I just feel like sometimes, and I even maybe the story is like a bit flawed, maybe it needs more editing or something. If it just has that heart, people would relate, people would connect. And if a book is like high action and it's just like action, 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 details, 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 and doesn't have that welcoming
yeah.
vibe, you don't feel connected to the characters, you're not seeing them, care about other people, it's actually be hard for me to keep reading. So even
Mm,
if it's like a non-fiction book, like anything, I just need to just have that, heart in it, and for me to be like one of the greatest books
yeah,
I've read. Yeah.
yeah. And maybe a little romance, like you were saying in the beginning.
Like romance is a huge part of the heart.
I have to say that. Oh my goodness. So do you have any advice for someone who wants to become an author? We always have people hanging out with us that are would-be authors or just starting out, and this is one of the best questions. I think we always really appreciate the answers that we get to.
Yeah.
What would you
Yeah.
say?
So when I was, querying and like, trying to get published, I really loved seeing this answer too. So it's actually a huge privilege to be, handing it out to others. So yeah,
Mm,
major advice I would give when you're trying to be an author is first of all, be ready, like be prepared, knowing that it might take a long time.
oh, yeah.
Like it might take like some there are very few people are lucky where instantly they get an agent, instantly they get a book deal, and like it's just a smooth sail from there. But most of the time it takes months, and even like most of the time it takes years.
Mm,
So you should just be ready to like hope for the best. Hope it's as short as possible. Do your best to make it short, which is like, you know, because some people query too early. Some people put out books that aren't ready yet and all of that. So to shorten the time,
yeah.
do your best to like improve your manuscripts, improve your letter, like make everything to be as top notch as you can.
Yeah.
But just going knowing that it might take time, and that if it's your passion, if it's like your dream to be an author, you can't give up because of how long it's taking.
Mm,
So that's like
mm,
one major advice I have for writers. Because when I started, I really thought I was going to be one of the fast, the fast, the lucky writers and all of that. And the
yeah.
first time it was kind of fast. I got like an agent in 3 weeks. So that was kind of fast. But then
Yeah.
the second time it took a year on the dot to get an agent. And in total, the entire journey has been 3 years plus. So yeah.
Now,
So
do you mean oh, I'm sorry. I don't wanna
oh
interrupt.
no, no,
3 years
oh no,
from 3 years from now, or will it have been 3 years by the time this is published?
no, 3 years from now.
3 years from now. So and then we've got
Yeah,
another, what, roughly 6 months or so until
yeah,
publishing? Wow,
yeah.
wow.
4 years.
So it takes a while.
And
It takes a while.
prepare. Just
Yeah,
prepare.
but
It
it's
really
gonna
helps to be prepared because if you are not prepared for it to take a while,
yeah,
you'll be disillusioned. You'll be, it'll be so hard.
yeah.
So preparing in
Okay,
advance really helps.
good advice, and I don't think we've had that advice yet on this channel, so very thankful
Oh,
for
I
that.
need to stop and think about it. Trust me.
This is true, this is true. That's right. Tenacity, perseverance, all of those good things. You gotta have them.
Determination.
There you go. Perfect. I love it, I love it. Okay, we need to before we close, I just need to look at this one more time because good night. I'm just so excited. This is gonna be so incredible. And again, looking just 'cause it's got the date, March 27th. It's coming back or it's coming out for Pete's sake, sorry. Um, I'm just so excited. Now, the week of release. So somewhere in the end of March, I was wondering, hoping to invite you and also Stacy Reed of Darkan Press along for another interview. We could sit, chat all things about the book. Would you be available?
That sounds amazing. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, I would love that. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so amazing. I wanna read this book right now. It just sounds so incredible. I can feel it resonating with everybody already. I'm just so thrilled that you were here, and, just thank you so much for your time, and I'm
Thank you
really,
so
really
much.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to March. I can't wait. It can't get here fast enough.
Bye.
All right. Well, we will let you go and we'll be keeping tabs on you. In my description box, everyone, I've got any kinds of links to her blog, her Instagram, Darkan Press. We're going to keep tabs. We can do the pre-orders, I believe. Now, as pre-ordering is we can pre-order now, correct?
Yeah.
Perfect. Wonderful. So pre-ordering can start today. I'm going to go and pre-order mine right now. I'm so excited. And we will see you hopefully before too long. It'll be here before we know it. So thank you again for being with us today and we will see you next
Thank you.
time.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.